This is the Podcast of Owls, episode number 19 for the week of August 16th, 2018. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Podcast of Owls, your one-stop podcast for RuneScape quests, lore, future updates, and much, much more. I am your host Crondis, and today I am joined by Amascut.
Hello.
And a Walter in the
Hello.
chat. Hello. Guys, it's been a while. What have we been doing? Oh wait, nothing, because there hasn't been
Nothing,
updates.
because there hasn't been any updates at all, yeah.
Yeah, Jagex decided to have a little hiatus, so we followed suit.
Little month-long break. We should have recorded one last week for the BTS, but we didn't.
We were all super busy last week, so...
Yeah, no, that's fair. Understandable.
I mean, even why this is coming so late in the week is...
Indeed. We actually, we recorded gameplay footage for the Dragonkin Lab on Tuesday, and then we played it again last night, and at long last, Crondis is available to record tonight.
I was supposed to be here last night, but, you know...
And the night before.
And the night before, but things fell through on both nights, so...
Yeah, so we have gameplay footage. I think we're putting in the background of this cast, but if not, we'll just release it separately with some music or something, because I don't believe we recorded audio. But needless to say, they were very successful runs, and we had a really wonderful time with the new Elite Dungeon.
Yep, so before we jump into that, though, let's get over to news. So last week we had the Skillcape, or Master Skillcape perks for what is Dungeoneering Slayer and Invention? Is it just those?
As well as the Master Quest Cape.
Oh, and the Master Quest Cape too, yeah. I was thinking there was a fourth, but I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
And yet it does.
But yeah, so,
do
you have any particular thoughts about them?
Yeah, so Invention gives you an increased chance of receiving uncommon and rare components when disassembling. This is honestly really useful, especially for like Elite Dungeon, the relic drops. This is just great. I got a couple of the Dragonfire scale drops in Elite Dungeon 2, which disassemble into 3 Dragonfire components. And with my Invention Cape on, I actually got like bonus Dragonfire components sometimes, which is really awesome. The Dungeoneering one gives you a chance to choose which boss you face, increased chance of lore drops inside Daemonheim and Elite Dungeons, and the ability to wear your cape inside Daemonheim, so you get some bonus stats. Slayer gives you a chance to choose your task from a Slayer Master when you receive a new one, which is really handy. Like, literally pick any task that is available with that Master. And then the Master's Quest Cape allows you to teleport to a chunk of different locations. Let me see. It is the Legends Guild, the World Gate, the Varrock Museum, the Empty Throne Room, the Glacor Cave, the Fountain of Heroes, the Ancient Guthix Temple, behind the scenes. And I think that's I think that's it. It's a nice chunk of different locations, though. Some of them more useful than others. Like the Glacor Cave is nice, even if it's bugged and doesn't give you this Stone of Jas buff when you arrive. But yeah, that's that one. I really like all of these perks, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw them and I was like, oh, that's cool to have, and I'm glad they didn't just outright do it for every single Master Quest Cape. But...
Yeah, well, there was a bunch of backlash about them doing it for every
Good.
120 cape, and they listened.
So yeah, but I saw them and I was like, okay, it's cool to have, but not particularly anything I care about, so I didn't pay it all that much mind, honestly.
As somebody who has the Invention and Engineering ones, though, very helpful, A+.
Yep.
Additionally, they improved a bunch of 99 capes to make them better, and some of them are really better. Oh, man.
Which ones did they change? I didn't even see this.
So, they changed agility to make it no longer fail any agility obstacles ever.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, like even the shortcut ones. Constitution has the same effect, but the healing now continues to work in combat rather than out of combat.
Nice.
Construction has a chance to save your planks when building in your player-owned house. Crafting still provides unlimited thread, but also provides a chance to cut all gems in your inventory at once.
Not particularly useful, but okay.
Divination, this one's really nice. Wisps now last a fixed amount of time when first harvested,
Oh,
which is further improved by other like perk gains, such as the Memorial to Guthix one that makes them last longer.
oh my god, where was that 3 years ago?
Yeah, I know. Fire making, fire spirits give better rewards and will act as a light source, which is pretty cool. Fletching provides a chance to make extra bolts, arrows, and darts. Hunter increases the effective range of your traps by 2 tiles, which is great as well.
Okay.
Prayer now can also act as a first stage cape if owned, while retaining its original effect. And the best one of literally all of these, thieving. All thief drops are noted and stacks with the Arden cape if owned.
What the fuck?
So that effect is good on its own.
That's
and now,
crazy.
I would like to reveal to you the true reason this cape is the best one ever. The day this came out, no, sorry, the day the Elite Dungeon came out, I went near the Dominion Tower and collected 1,000 Phoenix feathers.
Oh, Christ.
Because
you're
they're
right.
noted.
Oh, you're
They're
right.
noted.
Super Dragon
And,
Fire is fucked.
You know, I needed super anti-fires because Elite Dungeon 2 is a bunch of dragons.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I
That's
now
so
have
good.
still like 700, or I have like 900 in my bank still because I made a chunk of super antis.
Although Walter makes
so good.
Walter makes a great point. That is just destroying
Oh,
Proof
yeah.
Thieving.
It just ridiculously breaks Proof Thieving. And yeah, the Hunter one is just incredible as well. It's so good for turtle hunting. It's so good. And then a couple other things. You can activate them directly from the max cape when worn. You don't have to go through an awkward menu. And expert skill capes can now have 2 perks on them of
nice.
the like available ones. But what's great about that is the support cape has 2 of the best teleports in the game: the Slayer cape and the Dungeoneering cape, and they can both be added to the support cape.
Nice.
So it's a godlike teleport item, and I have them both set up. So yeah, this was great. I'm so glad they finally launched these because
Yeah, no, that sounds really good.
Really, really good.
So next thing was the Rusty Chest update.
Yes, with this week's update, there was 2 new steps for the Rusty Chest. That was the hidden thing that you could find using the treasure map that was released like a year ago. You can finally talk to Wizard Rinsett, and he will open your chest, and inside there is a magical feather. We don't know what to do with the feather yet, but it turns into an ancient scroll somehow.
Clearly, you must tickle Armadillo under the nose with the feather. That is the way to go.
Would you kill me if I said that I've tried bringing it to him?
So, I would be disappointed if you hadn't.
When you interact with it, it drains your run energy almost completely from 100%. If you have below 100, it says it's unwise to do this right now.
That's weird.
Yeah, and somehow it's supposed to turn into an ancient scroll. I think you need to take it to someone or something, and they will write on it. But the scrolls examine says you don't have the expertise to understand the writing on this. The feather says it looks like a feather fit for a cavalier, but we have yet to find an NPC that works with it.
Fit for a cavalier.
Yeah, I know. We tried like Dr. Nabanak. I tried Highwaymen. I tried using it near Highwaymen. I tried using it on the corpse of Highwaymen. I tried using it on all the different types of boaters and like everything I could think of. I tried a face mask. Like, I don't even know anymore.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Alright, so I think we're going to get to the most controversial now one. Do you want to take this one? Because I don't want to start yelling while trying to just get it out there.
I also think that I've written the most about this one. So
yeah, it's best.
Mod Jack had an interesting discussion over the weekend about not doing quest recs anymore. I, of course, disagree with this.
I fucking hate this.
Level.
I hate this.
But I see some things that he was saying that make sense. So his argument basically is that quest engagement is down.
It's because you're not making them.
So requirements are so high, and it's very challenging for a new player to get there. I wrote up a pretty long reply on the RuneScape Discord, And basically was like straight up, I hate this. I think Jagex created this problem due to the confusing 5th and 6th age requirement split in the first place, and have continued to do an absolutely trash job of dealing with it. New players are understandably confused. Of course they don't know what the fuck's happening. You guys have made it almost impossible to understand what the fuck is happening. Having this tiny little tag that says 5th age on it doesn't explain anything. However, I agree with something that Jack did say, and that's splitting storylines into seasons and the resetting reqs at the start of every season. 100% all over that. I think that's fine.
No.
If and only if they can stop the interface from being such a steaming pile of trash.
That's true.
Because Guild Wars 2 is one of the best MMOs I've ever played and still continue to play. And it does seasons. It does seasons of its living world, which are, 6 to 8 episodes usually. And these are several hour-long brand new experiences that take you to a brand new map. You can play them in any order, but they're very clearly labeled. Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3, etc., etc. And then an expansion comes in between them. So you get Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, an expansion, Season 4, an expansion, etc. And it's super clearly labeled in the interface. Every single one of them does a very good job of informing you, this is Episode 2, you have not played the previous episode, are you sure you wish to continue? It links you to the previous episode and tells you how to start that. And I think Jagex's biggest problem right now is the poor categorization and menu that comes for quests. Just splitting them into 5th age, 6th age, and ambiguous does not help anyone.
What's funny is I think we've mentioned that to them no less than 50 times, and they always just ignore the issue.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that we have fantastic quest log. Going back and looking over it, it tells you a pretty good idea of what happens. But for a new player trying to work their way through the game, of course they're confused by lots of quest recs, because Jagex does a really bad job of showing you what you can do next. So what I think needs to happen is fuck the whole 5th age, 6th age ambiguous sorting. Sort me by series. Do it.
Yeah.
Sort me by series. Make it very clear which one is number 1. So if I sort it to desert, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, blah, blah. I don't care if some of them are side requirements and stuff like that. Make it clear. Make it clear when that happens and to show logically where they should go in order. Make it clear for new players, hey, this is just a side quest. This one's fun, but it's not tied into a bigger series. Or maybe there's only 2 of these. Or make it clear, like the Majorat series, that this is a long branching series and split it into several. For the desert, make it clear which ones are a part of that. For the Myreki, that shows new players that there's lots of stories to explore in this game and makes it clear where each one falls. Still separate them into 5th age and 6th age if you feel that necessary, but make it clear what each thing is at the start of the game. There's so many ways that this could be handled, and the fact that it hasn't been is kind of stunning because we are years into this now. Additionally, another thing Jack was saying was that the only way he would want quest recs to be directly required is if they were pieces of content that were released close to each other, similar to Elite Dungeons being required for each other. However, I also disagree with that because on just a basic level, not being able to return to prior locations in RuneScape, old quest locations, just feels kind of fundamentally wrong to me. Pieces of Hate would have been a worse quest if we couldn't go back to those locations, And another thing was that he was talking about how, maybe they'll just have all the quests have no requirements, but the rewards would be locked behind the quests. And I'm like, well, what's the point of that? The reason a lot of people spacebar quests is because they want the rewards. So, if you're going to remove the requirements, the quest requirements for things, but keep the requirements and the rewards, then what are players gaining from that? Nothing. And then finally, one last argument he gave was that quest engagement is down, and I basically was a little mean here, and I was like, of course it is. Not many quests are being released, so players drift away in interest entirely. Just straight up.
Yeah.
But I think it's very clear that we have a very poorly managed system when it comes to how quests are displayed to new players. And I think that a fundamental reworking of this would go a lot further than just, oh, we're going to pull all quest recs ever. You can do a lot better than that. Way more easily. This stupid idea of trying to just remove quest recs entirely feels like it's just going to cause more confusion than it would solve. And I'm not a fan.
I mean, you even brought up Pieces of Hate being worse. Pieces of Hate would have been worse if you could do it before something like, Clockwork Syringe. You would have no fucking idea what's happening.
Just so
do you
confused.
think someone's gonna look at requested or recommended requirements when they're like, oh,
They already don't.
This quest gives 500k XP. Screw the recommended crap.
They just straight up don't.
They're not gonna look at it. This is a very poorly thought out.
I will say though, I do understand where he's coming from, and I think the seasons thing has merit.
See, I
think
don't
that
think I can see where
going the
he's coming
seasons
from.
route and making it clear what each season is fine, is great, and it allows a new entry point every couple years.
I don't even know if I can give him that I see where he's coming from is the problem.
Well, so he replied to me and he gave me some additional clarification, and so I really do understand where he's coming from with it. He said, let's see, it's not the 5th Age, 6th Age split on its own that created this problem.
It is.
It's also Ritual of the Majrat. He said that the 5th, 6th Age split was an attempt to compromise with you guys, but it was misaimed. But he agrees that Guild Wars 2 and another game is far clearer, and he's pushing for a similar linear timeline of quests rather than the confusing web. But he thinks that requiring way older content to be completed in order to complete modern content, which exists to a far higher standard, requiring a lot of older content to be completed to complete one piece of modern content, pushes people away because they have to sit through a lot of content that is not up to snuff with modern content.
I'm sorry, they have to play the game.
I agree with him.
No,
I honestly agree with him.
This is the same. No, this is the same cop out that they've been using for years, though. Is Ritual of the Majrat continues to cause issues. No, it's only because you continue to let it cause issues.
I understand where he's coming from with that, because the requirement list on that is massive, and so many of the things required for it are fucking irrelevant. Straight up.
I mean, what would you say is irrelevant?
Let me pull up While Gothic Sleeps overview here.
No. Okay, While Gothic Sleeps has irrelevant content. Yes, I will agree. That could be snipped a bit. I don't know why it requires Temple of Light.
But Ritual of the Majrat requires some stuff like Fairy Tale 3, The Slug Menace, Rocking Out. Oh, okay, I understand why Rocking Out is on there, but there's a decent chunk of things on Rodham and While Gothic Sleeps that don't need to be there.
Okay, I would rather snip some Rodham recs than go and say that continue to blame this quest as being the problem.
But let's talk about it this way. So you're getting into the Desert series. You see that there's an exciting, shiny new quest coming out for the series, and you're very excited by this because you're like, ooh, a new quest. These have been very good recently. And a lot of them don't have a lot of requirements, and I've been having a lot of fun because I'm a fairly new player. Then you see that you have to do a whole chunk of quests, including Iclarin's Little Helper. Let's say that, in fact, that for some reason Iclarin's Little Helper does not require the 2 Ozean quests before it anymore. Just for argument's sake, your first introduction to the Desert series is Iclarin's Little Helper. How motivated are you to continue?
Here's my thing. I do not believe Iclarin's Little Helper is that bad of a quest.
Oh, it's an ass quest. It's one of my least favorite.
Okay, now here's the thing. I'm gonna just go ahead and give the full opinion on this. I don't think it's a bad quest. I think it is old. I think it is poorly aged. Its mechanics are shit. But I don't think as a quest itself that it is terrible.
I definitely think that it suffers, though, and I agree with what Jack is saying, that super antiquated content and forcing players to complete that stuff feels bad.
But see,
now, of course, here's the irony, though, using the same series, is that now, whatever the next Desert quest is going to require the Menaphos quests And they're just as bad.
Which are ass. I was about to say, okay, you're gonna use Ixalar's Little Helper, but fucking our man in the north is just as terrible.
Oh, no,
just
I
in different
totally
reasons.
agree. I was actually going to bring that up as well, but I wanted to start with one that's like very clearly outdated.
And here's the thing, this
But
continues to stem
I
from the fact
get
that
what
when they
he
update
means.
content, they don't just fully update everything related to it.
Yes.
So
And they
they
need to.
they
Like,
had
we have a lot
they
of
had
older
Minifos and they had
quests that
Sophanum and they have everything that makes everything better, but then Lauren's Little Helper sits there and continues to rot because they don't touch
especially after the Ozan duology, like fucking destroyed
Exactly.
the start of the series.
Exactly.
In a good way. Like, it overhauled it in a great way and introduced us 2 fantastic, exciting quests.
I totally
And then
agree.
the next entry in the series is Ancient Relic. It's awkward, and it's the sort of thing that deserves attention, but they're not putting the dev time into it because it's a lot of dev time for a quest rework. I also understand that. But it's kind of a rock and a hard place kind of thing. If they put the time and attention into making sure old content was still playable and fun, then we wouldn't be running into the issue where player engagement is down because the content they run into is outdated and unfun. So I think they just need to find a way to strike a healthy balance.
Well, it's just one of those things.
If
like,
you're finding player engagement is down, then like take some time and make sure your early questing experience makes sense.
It's just one of those things, like, if they're gonna complain about old content, then take the time to make old content better.
I agree.
Like, I can't feel sympathy for you when you're not putting in that effort.
But again, though, I 100% understand his thing about seasons. I think that's very doable.
If they could pull off
as long as you make it clear, that this is a continuation of a storyline in some way, even if it's doing fresh slate a little bit, that's fine. Because I think it's a good way to be like, keep huge requirements down a little bit, which I agree is a bit of a problem. But asking players to get excited about an update only to find out that they need to do hundreds of hours worth of semi-irrelevant quests, that's definitely a problem.
I think if they could pull off seasons well, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But right now, it totally just feels like a cop-out.
It does. While I don't think that the Slisky's Endgame series was
good,
particularly great, I think only half of the quests were good in that series. It at least does the concept of what I see as a season fairly well. It's just they suddenly decided to tack on some super high requirements at the end out of nowhere. I think that
the quests at the end weren't that great.
No, they weren't. Well, it was the second one and the fourth one that were bad.
Yeah.
But it's that issue of like, how do you find that balance between, hey, this is a storyline that relies on some older ones, we don't want you to be confused, but also we'd like new players to be able to experience these. And they had a decent opportunity to make the Slisky's Endgame kind of set of series fairly easy to follow, and then they kind of stumbled on that. But they were 4 quests released within a fairly decent time span, and that's the kind of idea of seasons that I see being successful. Have a set of quests telling a specific storyline that does it, well, unlike everything in Endgame, but a focused, broad storyline that pulls all together at the end. Yeah, that's great.
I mean, fuck. If anything, it'll get us more quests at this point.
Yeah,
we're at
and
what?
I think Elite
August,
Dungeon.
We've had 2 this year.
Yeah, I think Elite Dungeon 1 and 2 have done literally that. They have found a way to tell one distinct storyline, require each other, and be really fun and interesting in the process. But then, a 4th Elite Dungeon will not require the 3rd because it's not telling the same story.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of requirements I can get behind 100%.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things of give us requirements that make sense. Don't throw on stupid shit, and also don't not require things because you don't want to lock people out. I think that's a fairly good balance.
I think that's a lot of what Jack was saying in the end.
Except
he's
he didn't
basically
pose it as that. He posed it as I don't want requirements.
No, but in his later responses, he does clarify that, and I think that was an important thing to clarify at all. It's not that they want to just get rid of all quest requirements ever, but it's more that they want to focus and streamline what quests get what requirements. Like, why the fuck does Birthright of the Dwarves have the skill requirements it has when they're not used in the quest? Why does
Because it's a
Walgothic
terrible
Sleeps have
quest.
this? Well, sure, but it doesn't use them, so what's the point? You could streamline that and make the quest more accessible to players.
No, I agree. And here's the thing,
Yeah,
I would much rather lose skill recs than quest recs. 100%.
I agree.
Even as someone who pushes for 90s on a daily basis.
But also, why does Walgothic Sleeps have this and that as a quest requirement?
I have no idea why Ethics requires mornings in part 2. I've never been able to answer
why
that
does
question.
it require Kings? Okay, I understand. The Hand in the Sand, the Zogre Flesh Eaters. It's arbitrary. 270 quest points? Why? Pick the things that are relevant to your story.
I do know the actual reason. I know the actual reason.
Yeah.
Is that it was the biggest quest at the time.
Yeah.
And they were like, let's just make them require a questcape.
Yeah. But I understand Jack in that he wants quests to be streamlined with the requirements. Don't require more than you actually need. Yeah. Don't be greedy with your quest recs, I guess, would be where I would.
But also don't be entirely skittish with quest recs.
Yeah. And I can agree with that. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it takes I
think it requires some nuance, and they need to be careful about it, and they desperately need to rework the awful quest menu.
Yeah.
I know that it's something that we've all just kind of been used to for the longest time, but we've hit that point now where new players don't understand what is happening. And this was caused by the 6th Age. Really was.
They know the quest list is terrible.
And Jack, I also agree with Jack that Rodham is a big problem. While Gothic Sleeps is a big problem. But the 6th Age split is where this issue really started to run into problems. Where now a new player starting the game can do 2 sets of storylines concurrently due to the rising recs on both of them and not even know that they shouldn't have.
Yeah. I knew this was going to happen eventually when day 1 of the World Wakes.
Yeah.
I heard someone say, who is Azanadra?
Here's the real kicker, though. Because we cannot replay quests, players can't revisit old quests that they did beforehand and understand the storyline from new context. Guild Wars 2 allows you to replay every single piece of story content they've ever released except for the first season, and they acknowledge that was a mistake, and have put in fixes to make sure you understand what happened during that season. But you can replay essentially every story piece that's been released other than those, and they actually have achievements for each episode that give you rewards and cool stuff and encourage you to go replay them.
Yeah.
They've done a great job with it, and I understand that replaying quests is a big investment in terms of development of the quest. But
it helps.
It's valuable.
It helps.
Especially when we've got this kind of rec split going on. Splitting requirements, make them replayable so that people can revisit them later. And give rewards for doing so. It doesn't need to be huge, but encourage
fuck things. If we're going to get this stupid quest point shop eventually, you could easily work it into that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I actually think the quest point shop's looking more and more exciting the more I see it, though.
A bit. I'm not going to give them that much credit just yet. But,
have you been keeping up in the RuneScape Discord? Mod Kyler's been very, very active.
Oh, has he been talking more about it? I've been getting the sparse updates from Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, I give him huge kudos. It looks really great. It's more similar to the Memorial to Guthix unlocks. It's not permanent unlocks at all times. It's you hit this Questcape milestone and you get this permanent unlock. And you use your quest points to purchase the things you would like to access and can swap them later.
Nice. I can deal with that.
Yeah, I love that. Big plus.
But yeah, so I think that's it for the news section. Let's get on over the topic.
Yay! Long argument rant unrelated to Elite Dungeons. Enjoy, people.
Welcome back.
We all know what you came for.
Welcome back. All right. Elite Dungeon 2.
Oh boy.
Go.
This is great.
I feel like we're at this same point where we were last time an Elite Dungeon came out, where it's just so good, we can't say much about it.
Oh, I can say a
I
lot
mean,
about
I
it.
can't. I don't know. I don't know how to phrase that the best. It's good. Okay, let's just go with that. Just take my word for it.
It's a fantastically designed dungeon once again. It has some minor quibbles again, but it felt way less buggy on release than ED1 did.
Oh, definitely.
Super fun. All the mobs are interesting and fairly varied. Um, the dungeon is overall easier than the first one, which is a little weird, but okay.
The bosses are a bit different.
The bosses are better.
I think I like Siri more than I do
I think I
Blackstone
think
Dragon
Seiryu is my favorite boss of
of the
the
six.
six that have been released, but I think the bar of quality for all three of the bosses in Elite Dungeon 2 are very, very good. Astelarn is right up there for my favorite, though. What a fantastic boss. Variclith is probably the worst of the three, and not even in a bad way. It's a good boss. It just feels less intense than the other two, which, while technically is a negative, it's still a damn good boss, and it's fun. And then the Blackstone Dragon is just flashy. It is interesting. It's exciting. There's not actually a ton going on, and it's not as mechanically challenging or like easy to kill you as Seiryu is. I feel like Seiryu did the spectacle better, but I
Siriu
think the
at
Blackstone Dragon is a
soloing
great
Siriu
boss.
was a thing.
Yeah, Seiryu is nuts. It really requires concentration and skill. I think the Blackstone Dragon is not there as much, but it's still got some cool mechanics, and you got to be prepared for them still. But the KO potential and like the challenge isn't quite there.
Yeah.
However, I still think overall, Elite Dungeon 2 is a better update than Elite Dungeon 1.
From what I've seen, I would agree. Full disclosure, I
Um,
haven't played through it myself yet,
the
but
environments are gorgeous. Interestingly, as well, unlike Elite Dungeon 1, this all takes place in the same map tile or like map area. There's no like floors to traverse between. There's just three distinct sections that kind of bleed into each other.
yeah.
It's great.
Which I think fits the theming of a volcano lab more than a temple. So
Well, I really appreciated it, though. Like, I didn't have a problem with it in Amanishi at all, but it just like the way it does it like this just feels
I
really
think the
smooth
only
and
problem
satisfying.
with it I had in Amanishi, and it's not even really much of a problem, but it's like you could tell as you changed floors, like the theming changed, so it felt a bit disconnected per floor.
Yeah, and while the floor and theming changes in Elite Dungeon 2, it does so in such a way that feels more natural
Feels
and
natural. Yeah,
realistic.
exactly.
Yeah, and I was really blown away by that. They reuse a lot of content in this, but all the stuff they reuse is like different somehow still.
I mean, Cosmic Claudia wasn't
Like
here, so
there's celestial dragons in this, but they have a different mechanic. They use the gemstone dragons in this, and they keep their same mechanics, but they're in groups and they're aggressive towards you.
in
So
fact,
you have to play around them a little more differently.
two of the bosses are Celestial and Gemstone Dragon.
Yeah, well, they look great too.
Yeah, they do.
And they reuse lava strike worms, and they're fine. They reuse night spiders. They reuse the flying books from Dungeoneering. They reuse the moss golems. Like they've retextured moss golems from the Lost Grove, and none of it feels like out of place or weird. It feels very well done, and it feels very naturally integrated into the environment.
Yeah.
They reused Frenesque floor tiles, and it's fine.
See, it reusing like that, like smart reusing, I love when they do that.
I'm all about it.
So,
But they
yeah.
just, I think they were very smart and
So
economical
enough
in
gushing
their
about
reuse.
enough gushing about how good it is. Let's go through the bosses.
All right. Boss number 1 is Astelarn. You have to go through a kind of like labby feeling bit, shockingly, and fight, some sets of monsters before you get there. There's some really interesting new ones. There's one that reuses like the oozes from Dungeoneering, but it splits into other oozes, and you have to deal with them quickly before they split into too many, because it can get really dangerous. But yeah, so you make your way through this first lab portion, and you come across Astelarn. You'll be picking up lore pages along the way, and they kind of explain a little bit about Astelarn. But basically, she is the first celestial dragon ever created. The Dragonkin Vicendethes actually gave her the name, even though his father and Phalanx were not happy. Phalanx and Carapac were the other two Dragonkins working in here. And they weren't very happy that Vicendethes was being nice, but so be it.
This is a continuing theme with these stories.
Yeah.
It feels like they're telling the same exact story, which I don't know if is good or bad.
I think it's good. I think the pages were very well written. It's just like this kind of like globby collection of like pages written by all three of the Dragonkin, and they feel distinct enough that you can really tell what's going on even when they're not distinctly telling you which Dragonkin is talking.
Yeah.
So that was very good writing. But yeah, so this boss is fucking awesome.
I think we all are of the agreement that Aslarn is the best of the three, right?
This is one of my all-time favorite bosses. So Aslarn, giant celestial dragon. She is a modified white dragon, and her abilities, she attacks with mage, and she has, what is it, like almost 500k health, 450k health, and she uses an AoE magic attack in the direction she's facing. She does not deal dragonfire damage. She just attacks with that mage attack, but then she occasionally may summon a creature called a pulsar. They have 20k health, and they periodically explode and deal a cannonball type, so basically a typeless damage with 100% accuracy through the entire arena. Can deal up to 2200 damage in trios. These hurt, and it informs you when they've spawned, and your team better jump the fuck on those or you're going to die. They're super dangerous, and they're great. Like, I really like that. Occasionally as well, she will select a player as a wormhole anchor. You'll get a little bar above your head, and then when it fills, a wormhole will appear underneath you. Kind of similar to Cosmic Claudia when she drops the like bomb thing, but this is way more important to the fight, and you actually need to pay attention to where you've put it. It will deal damage that ticks up and up and up higher to anybody standing in it. After a little bit, a neutron star will appear, and it'll target one player and follow them. You need to lure it into the wormhole, so stand near it or on it. And if you attack her, while you are outside of a wormhole at this point, she has huge damage immunity. Once you've lured the neutron star into it, it'll stabilize the wormhole, it'll turn white, and when you stand in it, you now can deal damage to her. However, if you fail and the neutron star touches you, it deals 5,000 damage to everybody, and you have to wait for another one to spawn. So you're going to need to stand in the wormhole to deal damage to her at this point, and it's kind of a DPS test at that point. However, we're not done yet. She has one other mechanic. She will select a 1/4 of the large square room or large rectangle room and fill it with celestial rain. She will shout out, "The cosmic pathway is open to me," and it starts at 50 damage every half tick, and it increases the longer you stand in it. It's kind of similar to the Twin Furies fight when they summon that like storm down on you, but it's just like a static quarter of the arena, and she moves it from time to time. What's so interesting with this, though, is the fact that since you have to place the wormhole statically, you have to be careful about where you place it, or you might place it in the celestial rain and be taking damage while you're trying to deal damage to her. It's awesome. It's kind of frantic in an exciting way. It feels good. It feels well designed. It's really, really fun.
I like how they went like full hog with like the cosmic theme on it.
Oh yeah, they went great with it, and it's great. Drops wise, she drops. She has an 100% drop, which is some onyx dust, unless you get a mutated flurry ability codex or the Diary of an Overzealous Gnome drop, which is the lore book. The Mutated Flurry ability codex unlocks, surprisingly, the Mutated Flurry ability. When used against a single target, it deals 157 damage per hit, but it also still can do the 94% weapon damage as an AoE. And if it hits, every time that it successfully hits, it'll actually lower the cooldown of your Berserk ability by 1.2 seconds. So this one is just built for chaining. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a really good ability. And it's very nice, and it improves dual wielding thresholds very nicely. She can also drop things like the laboratory relics, which can be disassembled or out, coins, ancient effigies, draconic visages, Glaven wingtips, and then she can also drop, along with the onyx dust, she can drop an item called Dragonfire Ash. This is a disassembly item that can be disassembled into 3 Dragonfire components, as well as some other rare or uncommon parts. It's a really nice drop. It's similar to the one that's like the explosive components in the last dungeon. And it's really, really helpful because it helps you get a good perk that is useful for the dungeon, the Dragon Slayer perk.
Yep.
And that's Eslar.
Oh, okay. The other ones are gonna feel so, like, dim after that explanation.
I don't know. Variclith has some pretty exciting descriptions as well. So Variclith is super cool
He's
because
the KVD clone.
Well, see, he's
Hey, guys.
Flametongue
Hey,
from
guys.
Armies of Gillinor.
Hey guys, reusing assets.
He does have a different model. To be fair.
Slightly, yeah.
Slightly, but it is different. But he is Flametongue from Armies of Gillinor, the King Black Dragon
This
that you
is
could summon
such a
during
funny
AFG.
inclusion. When I first saw that they were gonna do like, oh, he's the King Black Dragon's brother, I'm like, are they doing Flametongue? Are we going there? I was glad to feel
plot twist. Yep.
I was glad to be vindicated on that one.
I think it was a great choice.
It's
It was
just like
it
why?
was really the only option that didn't feel awkwardly shoehorned. It also just did a great job of canonizing yet another piece of AOG that deserved a little bit of canonization.
See, I always thought like that one would never be canonized.
I mean, I never thought a lot of things in AOG would ever be canonized.
Okay, no, you're entirely true on that. But I guess now with Funor being dead, they have to do something, right?
Yeah, they did a really good job with this, though.
So,
I love
yeah.
that they did that. So the Variclith was another dragon being developed to deal with the curse, and
he was not made for
he
mating.
was supposed to. No, and Carapac tried to make him mate, but all it did was make his eggs just like burn up, or his eggs, her eggs, whatever. They would just burn into pieces. Like, they were not healthy. They were not going to work. So the boss fight, you enter the arena, and he attacks the shit out of you. And he's pretty cool. My issue with Variclith, before we really get into it, is that compared to Astalarn, the effects and stuff, they don't really have the same intensity and like pressing feeling that Astalarn has. If you don't deal with Astalarn's mechanics, she's gonna drop you, and it feels dangerous and tense and exciting. Variclith is a little more relaxed, a little more slow-paced, and his abilities feel a little less dangerous. But basically, he has 600k health, he attacks with magic and melee, and his melee attack has halberd-like range, but he doesn't like pursue you to melee you, he'll just mage you otherwise. He deals a lot of base damage even through prayers, though, so you're going to eat a lot of food even if you do very well with his mechanics. Throughout the fight, he will summon a spire that will say, Variclith slams his tail against the ground and the earth shakes beneath your feet. Your screen will start shaking, and then you will be hit with a melee hit that you can resonance or swap your prayer against, that kind of thing. And then you swap back to mage. Like, that's really how you deal with the mechanic. One spire is made for each player. Each one has only 15k health, and you have to destroy all spires that have been spawned, or Variclith just straight up doesn't take damage. I like this mechanic because, it scales with your players very well. Issue with it, though, is that I don't understand it from, like, a lore perspective. Why is he summoning rock spires, and how are they protecting him? It feels a little just weird, out of place, I guess. It functions well in the fight because it forces you to kind of readjust and deal with things. The next mechanic is probably my favorite one that he does, where he will launch a poison, ice, or shock energy for each player in the room. So it'll say Variclith's poison, ice, or shock energy ricochets off you and launches into the air. It'll place a green arrow pointer on the ground, and you have to run to that spot and collect that energy. Then you need to absorb it, so you pick it up, and then you have to run over to one of the 3 egg piles, because there's 3 egg piles in a triangle around the room. You have to take that energy that you gathered and put it into one of the egg piles that is not of the type that you have. So if you have the shock energy, you need to run to either the poison or the ice eggs, and so on and so forth. And disperse it, otherwise you take up to 9,000 damage. However, you can resonance or devotion it, which is pretty cool. And there's actually an achievement for not egg dispersing any of them, so you have to successfully resonance all of them. I do like this ability, but it's very slow, and it also doesn't feel like as dangerously pressing. You've got a good chunk of time, and he doesn't really do anything to stop you while you're doing it. It's just, it ricochets off you, you pick it up, you run to the eggs, you go back to attacking it. What I liked about Astellarn in this regard is that all of her attacks kind of work together to hinder you. You had to be cautious of this and that and the rain. And Variclith just kind of takes them nice and slow and does them one at a time. His next ability is a Black Dragon Dive Bomb. I don't know where the Black Dragon comes from or why it's dive bombing you, but there's a circle starting point and then red arrows, and then a dragon flies down and launches like a path of fire across the arena. The issue is that it doesn't happen very much. Or really, yeah, just not very much. And the issue is because Variclith actually has a set special attack pattern. He does Spires, then he does an energy. Then he does Spires, then he does a Dragon Dive Bomb. Then he does Spires, then he does energy, then he does Spires, and then he does his last special attack, which is Flame Boltsies. And because the Spires happens in between each one of these, I feel like it really slows the feeling of the fight down. And the fact that he can't combo some of his attacks just makes them feel very easy to deal with. There's not something like the Celestial Rain that makes you move around, or areas that you have to really play around with regularly. Just kind of take each ability one at a time. But his last ability, let the flames melt the flesh from your bones, he yells, and it spawns a patch of 3x3 fire at your location. It doesn't hurt you yet, but after a few seconds, it turns into a huge thing of flame vortices. It deals rapid hits of like 3k plus to anybody near them. So you want to get the hell out of there. They move around a little bit, and I believe if you lure him into it, they can damage him as well. I don't think we've done that during the fights that we did, but Avernic did say that was a thing, and I mean, sure. Yeah, that's Variclith.
Okay,
not bad.
On to Le Blackstone Dragon.
Oh, and Variclith drops, of course.
Oh, yeah.
He drops the Mutated Fury ability codex, and the Redacted Dragon can research lore book, as well as pretty much all the other things that we mentioned. The Mutated Fury ability codex is a codex that mutates your Fury ability, and it's no longer a channeled ability. Instead, it just deals a single hit for up to 157 weapon damage, and it increases your next critical hit chance of a non-bleed ability by 10%, but if it crits as well, the next non-bleed ability the player has is 100% chance of being a crit, including magic and ranged abilities, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just a really good combo ability. You no longer need to channel it for so long. It's just bam, damage, maybe you get a crit. It's a nice ability. All right, finally, you go through another laboratory section, lots of gemstone dragons in this bit, and you come to the Blackstone Dragon. This is your, Zautak corrupted boss.
So before we get into it, I guess it's just me having high expectations, but when I heard Blackstone Dragon, I expected a tad bit more than this.
Honestly, when I heard Blackstone Dragon, I thought they meant that Variclith was going to be made out of black stone.
I also thought the same thing, since he looks more like stone.
Looks like he could be, yeah. But once you understand what's going on, it makes sense why the Blackstone Dragon looks this way. It's because it's a gemstone dragon that has been fitted with black stone, similar to a Hydrix or Onyx dragon. They don't look like they're made completely out of their material either.
Yeah.
But this fight's pretty cool, actually. I think it's more thematic than it is challenging, as I mentioned. It's considerably less hard than Siryu. And for, a final boss, I was expecting a lot more challenge. But she's pretty damn cool. So she has 650k health, and she uses all three forms of combat. She will, lunge at you to do melee. she launches these rapid spikes as ranged, and then she uses these black orbs for magic. The magic attacks to do an AoE around you as well, so you need to stay separate from your teammates, or the damage is going to stack up even faster. It's bad. It's good, but it's painful if you don't deal with it. She can also breathe black fire, which will deal up to 2k damage, but you can pray mage pretty easily and not really worry about it. But you can also, pray melee or like ranged and just prayer swap around based on what you need to do, because all of her attacks are like just slow enough that if you're paying attention, you can realistically react to them. Occasionally, she will use the Hydrix Dragon special attack, which will, except it's just a little more dramatically shown. The arena will shake and she'll send out spikes, and it'll also heal her if it hits you, as well as draining your adrenaline and reducing your adrenaline drain. It's not very dangerous, but, combined with some of her other attacks, it definitely can be. Once she hits 520k health, she will teleport to the middle of the arena, and 4 black hands will appear out of portals, each with 80k health, and they use a slow-moving magic attack. Once the magic attack hits, for whichever number of hands hits you, a trail of those hands, like in Seryu, will come out and kind of chase after you for a little bit. But they're pretty easy to avoid. If you just kind of stand in a corner near one hand, you can just deal with them one at a time. You can also use Dominion Mines on them, which is pretty helpful because these hands actually have very high defense. They're pretty hard to hit. You're going to miss and splash a lot. I haven't had a ton of trouble with them. Reddit's been making a very big deal out of it, but it's been just kind of I missed it like 3 times in terms of my experience. But still, it has noticeably higher defense than anything else in this dungeon. Once you clear all these hands, the Blackstone Dragon will start attacking you as well, once again, but she'll be like super stunned that you cleared them, and she demands you show her how you do it. She also tries to kill you. Yeah, it's pretty funny. After this, she will then, like I said, keep attacking you, but then she can also make her energy and spit out these like spiral fires. They go in a big spiral and they move kind of a chunk at the time, and they spiral around and then they reach her. If you stand in it, it hurts like a motherfucker. However, it's really, really, really easy to avoid. You want to be either just inside or just outside of the first part, and then just kind of step backwards for the second part. I think it would be more effective if the fire stayed the entire time rather than kind of fading as it moves, because it would cut you off and it would make it harder to kind of get around. Additionally, she will use an attack where she will turn in a direction and send out like a black orb, and it'll make the area like full of black orbs and hands and stuff. And if you stand there, you deal a lot of damage. It's dangerous. She also, if you get hit by some of her abilities during this phase, she'll heal herself a little bit. She still does the AoE magic as well, so watch out for that. And she'll still do the Hydric Dragon attacks. Every single time she does a black fire magic attack, which is the AoE ones, a spike attack, the Hydrix attack, will also come out. So you got to be kind of on the move a little bit here. All right, so after you clear out all the Blackstone hands and, that's done, the Blackstone Dragon will kind of freak out and be like, holy shit, you cleared them. Oh my god. Show me how to do it. And then, of course, instead of letting you show her how to do it, she starts trying to murderize you again. Yay! At this time, she will have the ability to send out spirals of dragon fire. This is like white fire that moves in a spiral along the ground. It's not very dangerous, but boy, is it cool looking. Don't step in it. It hurts really, really bad. It deals almost 4k per hit. But it's, like I said, it's a pretty easy attack to avoid. Just kind of step a little outside of it or inside if you want to keep attacking, and then back up a little bit. Additionally, during this time, she only really uses weak magic attacks, so you can either pray mage or soul split. She will also scream, "Get out of me," or "The shadow overwhelms," face a random direction, and launch a shadow projectile. Then it explodes into this like area of effect dangerous bit. Stay out of that. That would be the smart thing to do. but you can really just stay pretty close and it won't bother you. I've never really had a problem with it. It's kind of a boring attack. Every time that she does her AoE mage attacks as well, it will be followed immediately by one of the Gemstone Dragon special attack things. So be on the lookout for that, because that definitely can hurt really bad if you're not prepared for it. Once she hits 260k health, she goes completely invulnerable and begins to fly around the room. She will land and then send out some more, like similar to the spirals. It's the same color and everything, but they're lines and they actually chase you around. And you basically have to be on the move, ready to go, or they're going to corner you and deal really high damage. It deals like 4.5k typeless per hit. They're not super hard to avoid if you're paying attention. Just watch out for where your teammates are and don't hurt or trap them. And be ready. After a little while, because you can't damage her, this is just a timed section, she will scream, "Show me the light," and land, and then drop a spiral attack. This is dangerous because there's still the like bursts going around chasing you as well. So you just need to be ready for a big spiral attack and you're pretty much good. After all the little bursts go away, it's literally exactly the same as it was before, so you just kind of want to burst her down and kill her. It's not very dangerous or special or anything. And that's basically the whole fight. I think it's a really cool fight. I think it's really fun, but I think it needed to build off your like the mechanics a little better. I think the Blackstone hands really just kind of come out of nowhere, not lore wise, but just it doesn't really do anything unique. They're just, I'm gonna hit you and send out a couple easy to dodge hands. And they don't add anything to the fight later. You know, she doesn't use black hands after you kill the hands.
Yeah, it definitely feels like one of those things where like, hey, we gotta have this parallel.
Gotta put some Zautak in there.
Yeah, which I'm okay with.
Yeah,
some Zautak, but
I wish that the hands themselves had more than just we have really high defense. I wish there was some kind of mechanic you needed to kite around a little more, other than, well, it hit me with the magic attack. Let's step 3 squares to the left so I don't get hit by the hands. That just sends out that little row. And then I wish the rest of the fight built off that more too. Additionally, I wish that after she did her flying around thing, she would keep sending out those bursts to make the last phase feel more intense. Because beyond that, like literally nothing changes after she does the invuln. She does the invuln, she lands, she does a spiral, and then she just keeps, doing normal spirals and keeps doing normal attacks, and there's no more of the chasey fires. I feel like mixing it up between chasing fires and spirals would create more danger, more intensity, and make it a little more exciting. Additionally, I would really, really like if the spirals did not go away until the full spiral had been completed. A big part of what makes the spiral so easy to dodge is you can just take like a step back or step forward as it's coming towards you, wait a few seconds, and then it's gone, and then just step forward and keep attacking her as the next bit circles around. I think if it covered the arena in like that big spiral pattern and then stayed like that for a couple seconds, that would create a little more danger. I also kind of wish that there was more patterns than just the spiral. Like imagine if she could drop some additional shapes, kind of like the Char Cave. That could be kind of cool. And but she's a pretty cool fight. She's a big spectacle and she's pretty exciting, even if the ending of it is pretty underwhelming. And it's a really solid ending for Elite Dungeon 2.
Yeah, I just don't think it was as good of a final boss as
Ziryu no, was. Ziryu is just intense and exciting and just nuts. That's a crazy fight.
Yeah.
Drops-wise, the Blackstone Dragon has 100% chances for her 100% drop table is you always get a reinforced dragon bone, and then you get 10 to 29 onyx dust, a mutated barge ability codex, dragonic energy, or an inert blackstone crystal. So the mutated barge ability is a mutated version of the barge ability, requiring 30 attack. This codex is pricey as fuck because it's really good. So it does the barge attack, but its damage increases since the last time the player used the barge ability. And for every tick that they don't, since they last used mutated barge, it gains 10% weapon damage, capping at an extra 100%. Alongside this, if it has been 8 ticks since the player last attacked their target at all, Fury, Assault, Flurry, and Destroy and Frenzy will act as damage over time abilities instead of combos. So instead of having to wait the ticks for all 3 hits to hit, you unleash the hit, can keep attacking, and then it'll deal the other 2 hits as damage over time. This ability is amazing. No wonder this is selling for like 240 mil each codex. This ability is busted, and it's awesome. Everything about this is great. Other drops-wise, Draconic Energy is how you make the Elite Tectonic Armor. And the Inert Blackstone Crystal will be the pet. It's not the pet now, but it will be when they make the pet. I suggested something very similar on Twitter, so I'm glad to see that it made it in, because, yeah.
Alright, well,
and then, and then she can also just drop, like, Hydric Bolt Tips, Onyx Bolt Tips. She can drop an Onyx, Dragonstone, Diamond, Effigies, Relics, Glaven Wing Tips, and then she can also drop an item called a Perfect Gemstone Scale. It can be disassembled into 4 precious components and some other kinds of like gemmy-looking components as well. It's pretty handy. Not bad.
All right,
and that's all her drops.
Are we on to lore?
I was going to talk about the Draconic Energy and the Elite Tectonic real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
It costs probably about 500 mil or so. To make it's almost like 800 mil to make the full set if you're buying all the energy. It's still pretty pricey right now, but it is quite good. Just like the Serenic one, it does not degrade while you are in the dungeon, so nice. But yeah, just for right now, at least, it's just a lot more expensive overall to make, and will be for a little while. But that's okay. It's pretty cool. Just like Elite Dungeon 1, the only place you can get the Draconic Energy is from the Blackstone Dragon, just like with Elite Dungeon 1 and only getting it from Seiryu. You can get 1 to 110 as a drop, depending on where you go, or like what mode you're using. Solo gets higher drops than groups, and groups don't have guaranteed drops. And yeah, cool. Now give me upgraded Malevolent for the 3rd one. Thanks, please. Bye. Moving on to the lore.
Oh, thank God I can actually talk now. Woo! Okay.
I'm gonna let you talk.
Okay, who the fuck was high when they wrote these books?
Yeah, the gnome one is fucking weird.
What are these?
The other 2 are really good, but what the fuck is the gnome one?
The gnome one was... when I started reading this one, I was like... What am I reading? I had to check twice that I was on like the right page, reading the right transcript.
I had a half second where I was like, am I on the fanfiction wiki? I'm being kind of sarcastic, but like it's weird.
It is so out of left field. It is hilarious.
So, for context, for those who don't know this one, it's literally a book about a gnome that gets captured and thinks that the Dragonkin are like trying to breed him with Astelarn because he sees the Dragonkin and thinks that they're like half human or gnome mixed with dragons. And so the whole book is him talking about how Astelarn is flirting with him and he's kind of into it. And he's really excited.
When he said the "I'm kind of into it" line, oh my God, I lost it.
I'm kind of into it, parenthesis, kind of, close parenthesis.
I lost it.
And then the best part is he's so excited in entry 6, and he would be invited for dinner, he thinks. And he's so excited. He's a gentle gnome, after all. And now please excuse me while I practice my most seductive gnomish growl. And then entry 7 is, the ink appears tear-stained and smudged. I'm so stupid, I got it wrong.
Entry 7
Goodbye,
is
reader.
literally
Please don't forget.
dying.
So he literally is writing this as he gets eaten by Astelarn because he was kept as food for her. And once you read the Dragonkin research book, it makes a lot more sense because they talk about like kidnapping adventurers from the wilderness and like just feeding them to the dragons. But it's just hilarious that you get an entire fucking journal about a gnome who's so stupid he thinks that they're trying to breed him with the dragon.
It is so funny.
It's also a bit weird because, as a Gnomish writer, it's surprising to me that he never uses a single word of Gnomish.
I think it's one of those things that most JMods don't want to touch Gnomish
I mean,
because
I
I
don't
don't
blame
really
them,
even
but
understand that language either.
there's
So
some
there you go.
honestly confusingly hilarious lines in this, such as, "So, beloved reader, it's no wonder why they chose me, a marvel among gnomes. They aim to breed me with the dragon." There's a whole joke about how he's not racist or anything. You love who you
Oh my
love, you
god, that
know.
whole section
And how
was
if he looks willing, maybe they'll put him in like a nicer room. He keeps calling the Dragonkin the grumpy weirdo.
the grumpy weirdos.
Yeah, it's so amusing, but it's just strange. It's really strange.
Like I said, it was just one of those things. Like I have to question what the hell they were thinking when they wrote
Yeah,
this.
I don't know why this is a lore book in this. Like we had a loose like an also weird one in ED1, but at least it contributed to the story and the lore. This one's just fucking weird.
Yeah. So
But
I mean,
yeah.
but to be fair, the collectible one in ED1 like told us nothing.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was talking about, like the weird one
so
that didn't really say anything, but
yeah.
oh, this one's just weird.
Okay, so Dragonkin notes.
Yeah.
This one, like, it told us a lot and told us nothing at the same time. And that's slightly impressive and also kind of annoying.
Yeah. I do like this one. And it's just an interesting, like, subject log. That's really
Yeah.
the point.
Although, I hate how it starts out and every other word is like a Dragonkin word that we don't
Oh,
know.
we're talking about. Sorry, I was talking about the redacted dragon
Oh, the
conversion.
redacted one. Oh, okay. Well,
That's the Varric Lith drop.
yeah.
Since we did the Escalon drop first.
Yeah, okay, you can go ahead and talk about that one.
Though it is kind of amusing the difference between the two journals. I think one of them, like the ones that start with lots of like angry dragonkin words, is written by Phalanx, from what I can tell.
No, it mentions Phalanx, doesn't it? One of them mentions Phalanx.
Yeah. So, oh no, sorry, this is by Carapac. Sorry, yeah. All the ones with lots of dragonkin language are written by Carapac. All the ones written by Phalanx are a little more like clean and normal. Then the ones written by Vicendathes tend to mention his father and just be very calm.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell which one wrote which, but it's a little tricky at times.
It
But I
took me
think
a
it's totally
while.
okay.
It took me a while when I was reading the notes to realize that the author changed at one point.
Yeah, it definitely
I
it
think
took me
that
a
threw me for
little
a
bit,
loop.
but it's a good book. I think it was very well handled.
It also like very vaguely kind of confirmed that Cranon was the one that unleashed Saltak, right?
I mean, we knew that already, but
I
it
mean, we
just
kind of knew
further
it
establishes it.
because they just kept
This
like
book
cursing
also
him.
is the one that's like straight up pushing us to Ulfven Creeth again, like
Yeah.
fully confirming we're going to Ulfven Creeth. And yeah, it's a good book. It talks about how they made each of the bosses you fight in here, and the one about the section about the Blackstone Dragon is especially interesting. They actually made two of them, and one of them was killed by the other one. And he starts to hear whispers around her, and he even hears, "Do you really think you can save them?"
Because of
And
course,
then yeah,
Zaltak's
and then
favorite Zaltak's favorite English sentence. Watch,
do
the
you
real
think you can
twist is
save
that's
them?
the only words in English he knows. He doesn't even know
But
the meaning.
I know, right? But yeah, then some shit goes down and they fucking flee. They dump all the remaining Blackstone they have. They seal the laboratory. Ulfin Creeth is under the waves, and they're gonna find another way to research the Dragonkin curse. They've gone the fuck away from the laboratory, and they say, keep away if you value this world.
So I do have a bit of a timeline question here because I was kind of confused. Did the Blackstone Dragons come before or after the whole Zaltak thing?
What do you mean?
Because the way it was written, it sounded like the whole thing at Ulven Creeth happened, and then he was experimenting with the Blackstone later.
Yes. So dead, but Cran.
Right, which makes which sounds weird because you would think after that incident they would know not to touch the shit. Because they went
Boy
back
will
and
come
dumped
to,
it
Chen
later.
on Krenin, Wrath on Krenin. Will seal him or destroy him and the Rourke. More dragon for this purpose. So they know that Krenin's gone batshit. They know that he's dangerous, and they're trying to find a way to deal with him. The final thing says the surviving creature has been sealed, but then the source of our problems has settled and buried itself in the seas. So I think this was when they finally drove Krenin back into the portal there. So it looks like Krenin went crazy and was kind of around for a little while. And then by the end of the book, they've managed to drive Krenin into the portal, seal him, and then they get the fuck out of the lab as well because shit has gone down in there.
But see, doesn't that kind of contradict the murals?
Not at all.
Because the murals make it seem like they were there. They did something. Zaltak came out of it because it had the hands coming out of it. And then they got the fuck out.
I mean, sure, but I think that there very easily could have been a little bit more time there.
I guess. I don't know.
And there's also a couple different ways to read this whole section. Like, it's definitely possible to be like...
I just felt like the timeline was weird because it feels like if they knew about the Zaltak shit and they had already gotten out of Ulfenkreith, why are they still using Blackstone?
My guess is that they didn't know that the Black Stone was a problem.
I don't know.
Because they just thought Krenin was crazy.
Because even after the Blackstone Dragon is made, obviously they go back to dump their supplies of it, right? Why would they go back
to drop their supplies? Excuse me. They go back to drop their supplies after the Blackstone Dragon does something to them. We don't know what that is, but she attacks them and makes something very dangerous happen.
I don't know.
And that's why they fled. That's why they dropped everything, and that's why she fled.
It was also weird that they kept describing how the Blackstone Dragon was like trying to get at its sister.
I liked that though. It showed that they were corrupt and weird.
I don't know. I feel like if there was a second one, why wouldn't they like work together, right?
Well, because they're crazy. They're dangerous and they're being driven insane. Like literally, during the Blackstone Dragon fight, we banish the Zaltak hands, and she goes, "You must show me," and then keeps trying to kill us. They're crazy. They're driven insane.
I don't know. The Blackstone Dragon is weird from a particular stance.
Oh, I love the Blackstone Dragon.
Because like, you would think that one that is born out of Blackstone would obviously be crazy in a sense, but also be more like a part of it, if that makes any sense.
So, gemstone dragons are not born of the gem. They're dragons that have had the gems imbued into them during their hatching. And so the Blackstone dragons basically have these black stones essentially grafted onto them, which is why it's trying to escape it, and it's so surprised that you're able to deal with Zaltak's influence.
Oh, crap. Okay, so Walter just made a good point. I didn't even realize this is what they were talking about. The stuff that he was rubbing on the young dragonkin. That was Blackstone?
Yes,
they were using a phrase for it, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, that's Blackstone.
Okay. Alright, that makes more sense.
Yeah, the Blackstone Dragon is why they have to flee, because something happens with it, and it causes lots of danger. They literally kill all of their additional specimens that they could and fled. And Astelarn also kind of got out and was a little dangerous too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the lore.
Do we want to go into the redacted notes?
Oh, sure. The redacted notes is just them talking about a couple different experiments that they ran, such as the
funniest one,
rubbing the stone on a dragonkin and stuff.
The funniest one where he was like, he rips off all his limbs and sticks pipes into him and starts electrocuting him, and then at the end he just regrows him and he thanks him for his time as a
I know, assistant. That was really funny.
Like, what?
Note, subject can make a good research assistant if they recover sufficiently from the experiment.
But yeah, so... Yeah, I didn't even realize that was Blackstone, what they were mentioning, although it makes total sense now.
The idea that, siphoning a large amount of anima could help with the curse, especially looking back at how it happens in Slisky's endgame. So I thought that was well written and well handled.
Yeah, it did. It felt like they were trying to retroactively explain Slisky's endgame.
I agree, and I'm okay with that, because any explanation we can get for Slisky's endgame's nonsense is better.
Okay.
Hey, I don't mind taking bad lore and making it better later.
I guess. No man. The quintessential example.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the books are good. The gnome one was what, but past that.
It basically just leads to how it could have happened, like how they finally got to the conclusion of how they were able to do it.
Yeah. All right, well, I believe that is Elite Dungeon 2, guys.
No, we have more rewards to discuss. Yes.
You made me think I was missing something important.
Indeed. So you can now get the Elite Dungeoneering outfit in-game. Once you hit level, 60 or 70, you're able to start collecting the fragments, but you have to buy the blueprint for 200k Dungeoneering tokens at Daemonheim. Cool. Additionally, Brill at the Dragonkin Lab can sell you Dragonkin Lab teleport tabs for 1k each. The Lucky Charms, which are always worth buying. They are, 10k tokens each, 1k tokens each, 10k tokens each. You can get 1 to 12 Onyx Dust, Dragonic Visage, Glaven Wingtip, Dragonfire Ash, Ancient FC, and Elite Clue Scrolls are the things that have been discovered so far. Additionally, there are the Vital Spark Drop Enhancer and the Shifting Tombs Reward Enhancer. I don't know why these are here, but great! You put them in your inventory, and every time you get a Vital Spark, it'll consume one and give you an extra Vital Spark. So basically, for 1,000 DG tokens, you get a bonus 72k. Additionally, the Shifting Tombs Reward Enhancer, while carried, it is consumed upon entering a tomb, and at the end, it increases the rewards that you get. We don't really know what the formula for the increased rewards is yet, but hey, cool. Thank you. Additionally, there is a pet that can be bought for 250k Dungeoneering tokens, but you have to have completed the Chill Out Bro achievement, and then you're able to buy it. Basically, that achievement asks you to use Tsunami on 4 Magma Golems at once. It's not hard. They come in giant clumps. It's very easy. But then you can buy the pet. Pet's really cute. His dialogue is just lots of really entertaining puns and jokes. And yeah, it's a nice little pet. Very cute. And I believe that is all the rewards. Yeah, the mini bosses. Should I talk about them?
Are they worth it?
A couple of them have dialogue.
Okay, go ahead.
Elena Guard the Black screams about Varric Lith, and if you're wearing a piece of black dragonhide armor, he'll ask you if you're mocking him. Breath is a wyvern that you can kill that just says... There's a Dragon Wolf Alpha that uses the dragon thing that just says grrr and ow. There's Eligorn the Celestial, who is actually pretty cool looking, but I don't think they have dialogue. But its examine text is an Elder Celestial Dragon who doesn't like Intruder. The Emberborn Soul is using one of the pets from Charged Cave. Gorge Lava Strike Worm is pretty big. It doesn't have dialogue. Firebelly is the other kind of wyvern, and it can say Ryu. The Giant Slime is like a big version of the lab slimes, and it doesn't say anything. Sangri the Red is a red dragon that doesn't seem to say anything. Shoal the Molten is a big molten golem that can say, no, you get away now. If you not go away, I erupt all over you. Yeah. Smolders is a pyre fiend that says, a lonely pyre fiend, slayers made his friends disappear, as an examine text. And then he goes, I suppose you're here to finish me off. Fine, I will go back to Infernus, or I'll kill you. Spindra is a big creepy fucking spider. She weaves webs of terror, lustrous silken fear, and architect of nightmares. And yeah, the Elite Golem thing looks like the pet. A Spindra just hisses and makes noises. And then there's Varric Little, and it says, well, this looks familiar, and it's literally just the KBD pet.
Oh,
and it
boy.
doesn't say anything either.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there's... Oh, wait, it does? Cool. didn't know that, Walter. Please explain. So apparently, a dialogue in the dungeon talks about the magma boss.
You have to tell him you killed him, and the pet isn't happy.
That's really cool. I don't have it yet because I haven't done the achievement, but that's actually exciting because I have done it. Two other reward spaces. There is the Black Stone title, which you can get by completing the drop log. And then there is a title, I believe it's called the Elite, for completing all the achievements from both dungeons. And then there's just a set of new achievements for some of the mini bosses, and then just some of the stuff you do in the dungeon. These are all actually pretty cool. There is Elder Soul. Some of these are just like defeat the mini boss while doing this oddly specific thing. So, like for Spindra, you need to have one of the like reqs or weapon pieces in your inventory. For the Emberbound Soul, you need to have the Chronicle Absorption prayer on while you kill it. Stuff like that. Then there's also achievements for each of the bosses that require you to play it a little bit differently. I think these are really cool. I love it when they do feats like these. For example, some of them are Not a Moth. Defeat the Blackstone Dragon without taking damage from any of the Shadow Flames. Shadow Wave. Wave goodbye to a black hand. So you literally have to kill a black hand, wait until you're out of combat, and then use the wave emote. Dragonhide Infantside. Defeat Variclith while ensuring every ricochet attack is absorbed into a pile of eggs. We Will Fight in the Shade. Defeat Astalarn with your entire group having taken less than 10k total damage from her Solar Storm throughout the fight. Me, Walter, and Avernic got that last time we played, actually. Then there is, Four in Hand. Defeat all 4 black hands within 10 seconds of defeating the first. That's really hard. Get Backhand. Use Forceful Backhand against a hand during the Blackstone Dragon fight. Brood Mother. Defeat Variclith without anyone dispersing their damage into a pile of eggs. And A Quest for Understanding. Defeat Astalarn while at least 2 Pulsar Stars are active. That's pretty difficult because you have to get 2 of them to spawn. You're dealing reduced damage to Astalarn as well if they're spawning like that. And everything else is just some mini-boss stuff. And that should be all of Elite Dungeon 2.
Holy hell.
There's a lot of shit, and it's awesome.
All right.
This is a huge, huge update, and it's a lot of fun.
Okay, well now let's get over to the rest of the show.
Indeed. And that's the rest of the show, thanks.
I feel at this point I should just expect that you do that.
I don't know why I don't. And it's really entertaining.
Okay, so, updated the year. Did this beat out ED1 for you?
Yes.
I know it beat it out for Walter.
He thought about it for a while, though.
I know it beat it out for Avernic.
Walter seemed to legitimately enjoy himself when we played last night, which was awesome.
I think I slightly like Amanishi more.
You also haven't played this one yet, though.
Also true. But, as far as lore and whatever goes, I think I like Amanishi more just because Seiryu, I think, was built up a bit more. I like what they did here. I like the idea of a Blackstone Dragon. I like the idea of Flame Tongue finally coming in.
Yeah.
I just think
Astalarn is such an amazing boss.
Yeah, and Astalarn is so good. Even not have played it, I can see that he's just
I
really
think Amanishi had a little stronger lore and storytelling.
Yes.
Especially through the mini bosses, many of them talked. But I love this environment in EG2. It's so much fun. The bosses are all very enjoyable, and they feel smooth. So those extra couple of weeks really went into making these bosses feel a little smoother. I think they could still use a couple improvements, but I hate Masuda. I think he's an awful, awful boss.
Masuda's not good, I do have to admit.
And I think all 3 of the bosses in ED2 are at least good.
Yeah.
And in Astalarn's case especially, great.
Well, I think with that means that ED2 is the update of the year.
Woo!
So there you go. Yeah. That lasted, what, a month? 2 podcasts, maybe?
Yeah. Hopefully we will do more of these soon.
Hopefully we'll get back on a regular schedule if we could get content updates.
Well, we got Player on Farms coming out the first week of September, and we'll just keep doing little podcasts as well, weekly for the next couple of weeks.
I hope we can start getting out more like actual lore podcasts. Because that was originally what this started out to be, and we kind of just became news and updates.
The problem is just that there hasn't been a lot of like decent lore to sit and talk about since.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll make sure we keep going. With the RuneScape Discord becoming a lot more accurate in terms of the JMods interacting and talking about things. I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say.
Yep.
Like, literally, we got like a good 20 minutes out of us ranting about something Jack said. So.
I mean, anytime anything comes up that's quest related, we tend to do that. So
that's true.
Yeah. I think we know that we are like that, and we plan for it. So, yep.
Indeed.
All right, guys. Well, this has been the Podcast of Alice, episode number 19. Thank you so much for listening to us. I have been Crondis. This has been Amascut and Walter.
Woo.
And we will see you guys next time. That's next week or not. Next time.
Probably
Bye,
next
guys.
week.
Bye, guys.
Very well.